Hello everyone. This week we are reviewing a book titled Midnight in Chernobyl. The book is about the nuclear disaster that happened in 1986 in Chernobyl, which is in today's Ukraine. The book describes the setting up of the nuclear reactor in Chernobyl, what are the challenges that were faced, and the actual blast that happened, followed by which the kind of protocols the Russian government took to handle the disaster. About the author of the book is Adam Higginbotham. The book is more of a reporting account from the author, who did a lot of interviews with a variety of people who were directly involved in the disaster in that period, and he tries to unravel the mystery as it happens actually in 1986. Now, moving on to the actual summary of the book is broken into three parts. First portion is about the entire setup. Second portion is actual blast. The last portion is the USSR response and what mitigation efforts were conducted. Now, the USSR at that point in time wanted to become a nuclear superpower and was building up a lot of nuclear facilities, and it chose this city of Chernobyl, which was in the Pripyat river basin, as one of the places where nuclear power reactors were to be built. Now, this book revolves around key people who play pivotal roles in decision making in the book. One of the people who around whom the book revolves is the director of the power plant, and the director was the one who actually set up this whole city of Chernobyl. He built it from scratch in terms of the infrastructure that is required for people who are going to work in the power plant, schools, supermarkets, and the housing facilities, etc., and all of that. Now, the biggest problem that the director would face in building up of this city in and around Chernobyl is the kind of bureaucracy that there was there from the Communist Party, which was in power at that point in time, and they would be involved in every other decision making that is involved in building up the power plant, and also in the quality of material that was there, in the kind of delays that were there. And also because USSR wanted to do this whole thing very quickly, a lot of compromises were made in terms of conducting of tests to meet the timeline, etc. Now, the other problem that was there was also on the kind of nuclear reactor that was used in building of the power plant. The one that was already there in use in other facilities already faced a lot of issues earlier, but still it was being commissioned in the new power plant in Chernobyl as well. Now, the important point that one needs to understand as we read through the book is around the impact of radioactivity on human body. The author dedicates a complete chapter to explain what are the kind of radioactive material which are there, what are the kind of harmful rays that it can emanate, etc., and all of that. Now, if you understand how a nuclear plant would work, there is a core, nuclear core, which is there, which is the radioactive material, which is here is uranium. And if you bombard it with a free neutron, it would start to react, it would release energy as well as more free neutrons. The energy would then boil water, which would in turn run as turbine and hence generate electricity. Now, the free neutrons will further go on and collide with further nuclear material and more energy and further neutrons, etc., and hence this becomes a chain reaction. Now, if you have to bring down this nuclear reaction to control the power that is being generated, there is something called as control rods which will be inserted. The control rods will be made of elements like boron, which can absorb these free neutrons and hence bring down the reactivity of the core. Now, this is the basic understanding of radioactivity which one needs to know before we delve into the actual blast, etc. Now, there were 4 units which were commissioned in the nuclear power plant, and the blast happened in the 4th unit. And this happened because of a testing protocol that was followed to measure the efficiency of the performance, etc., and all of that. Now, when the test actually happened, moving on to the blast portion in particular, when the test actually happened, suddenly the temperature of the core started to increase, and hence the operators followed the rule book which said insert the control rods. Hence they go ahead and insert the control rods, but while it should have ideally brought down the reactivity and hence temperature of the system, it actually increased the reactivity. The author describes that there is a 1 in a certain probability that such a thing can happen, and everybody were aware of it, and still they thought it was a very highly improbable event, and hence nobody really bothered about it when the system was put in place. And hence the reactivity started to increase, temperature increased, and pressure built up, and the blast happened. Now a lot of once the blast happened, if you see, the casualties were actually not so high immediately after the blast, because nobody was very close to the reactor in particular. But the issue is in terms of the amount of radioactive material that was dispersed into the atmosphere and the material that started to seep in to the groundwater level and the adjoining river basin. Now a lot of effort was put in to control the fire which was there, and also to minimize the dispersal of radioactive material in the atmosphere. Tons and tons of sand, lead and other material were dropped on top of the radioactive core to avoid further decay that was happening. Robots were initially used to clean up all the debris which was there, because it was very difficult to go close to the core for want of high exposure to radiation, but the robots were not able to do the job very well. So hence people were employed in batches. A first batch would go do some cleanup activity, and hence after the timer was set to ensure that only a minimal amount of radiation is exposed to these people, a new batch would go and hence clean up the whole portion. That is how it was done. Now for a long time, for the next few days, the people tried to, the Ministry of Energy, etc., they tried to clean up all the damage locally and avoid any further news to proliferate across the country. They also did not inform the local people as much, because they thought that they would be able to control this whole thing by themselves, but actually they could not. Now moving on to the actual response, right, from the Russian government. Now initially they were trying to do all the cleaning activity by themselves, but the radioactive debris that was spilled out into the atmosphere started to move around across Europe to Finland, Sweden, Denmark, and all of these countries started picking up a high radiation count in the system that they had built up, and they were worried if there was a leakage in their country. They explored and they realized that this leakage has come from Ukraine, and hence when questioned, Russia had no other option but to acknowledge the blast and had to come out open in public. Now that is when a lot more of evacuation activity started to happen in and around Chernobyl. They realized that severity of the incident, and they evacuated people from Chernobyl to faraway parts of Russia. They also ensured that Moscow was heavily safeguarded in terms of vehicular movement from this part of the country to Moscow. And more importantly, there was a heavy ban that was put in terms of movement of meat, dairy, fruits and vegetables from this part of the country to rest of Europe. Such kind of things were very similar to the pandemic situation that we're facing today in terms of control and regulations. Now after the evacuation was done, the nuclear core continued to emit radioactive material. So these guys had to come up with something to stop it for long. And radioactive decay, if you know, goes on for generations. It does not stop actually. So controlling it is very, very difficult. So what these guys had to do was to build a dome on top of it, of the unit 4 where the blast happened, and build a surrounding structure around it. Now it was started initially, but then USSR collapsed and Ukraine became independent, and financially it was having a lot of issues, which meant not a lot of funds were disbursed for building up of this, and it got dragged on for long and was completed recently with funds from a lot of countries from Europe. Now the key point to note here in all of this is, after the blast was complete, after all evacuation measures was done, the USSR set up an inquiry committee to understand the root cause of the problem, and the report said that all this issue happened because of the operator who was there, who did something wrong, who was unaware of the protocols, etc. And it was a pure human error which brought about the downfall of the nuclear reactor, is what the report said. They did not acknowledge that there were faulty materials or there were delays in the tests that were conducted, etc. None of it was called out. But actually, after USSR broke and a lot of other countries were formed, independent reports were published from a variety of people, and they brought out what was the actual truth. While they acknowledged that operator error played a role, the biggest issue was in terms of using the error-prone reactor, which was already known, plus the faulty materials that were used in the construction of the reactor. Now if you see today in Chernobyl, in and around the area, due to lack of human activity, the area has become more of a biodiverse environment teeming with wildlife and nature. While the animals which were there and the plants which were there were exposed to nuclear dust, the subsequent generations of animals which came out from there had zero traces of radioactive material. Nature has found a way to cleanse itself or heal itself quickly. Now, moving on to the key takeaways from the book. Nuclear energy, of course, is the cleanest form of fuel that is available today with us in short term. There is no question about it. But in long term, if it gets into the hands of people who are not able to manage it properly, it dooms disaster not just for the country but for the whole world. So we have to be very, very careful about this. Now, after this disaster, a lot of countries like Germany, New Zealand, etc. started to bring down the nuclear investments heavily and focus more towards renewable energy. But countries like China and USA continue to invest further in the nuclear reactors because they are sure that this is the way forward for them in order to become a superpower. So the tussle is very, very clear. You have to be very clear whether you want to live amicably with nature or rise as a superpower in this world. The third point is the governments at some point forget about the reason why they are built and they go after becoming superpowers or becoming the best in the world and get into things that become detrimental for the very people who brought them to power. Now, this is very clear that absolute power in the hands of wrong people can doom disasters like this. So people have to be very, very careful in choosing the kind of governments that they form in a country. With that, I conclude the summary for this week's book review. I'll catch up with you again next week with another interesting book. Thank you.